I did a piece a short while ago about a man called Karpichkov, and he was involved in giving his opinion about the death of Gareth Williams, the MI6 man who was found the spy in the bag in the bath, found in Pimlico in 2010. There was no evidence of any break in, there were no fingerprints, there was no explanation, and Karpichkov, under his new name and his alias, told the authorities in Britain that this was almost certainly a KGB, an FSB, SVR operation where diphenhydramine was injected into the ear, leaving very little trace, and that this was an assassination by the Russian secret services. And the assumption now is that this was done by a double agent called Orion, who had introduced Gareth Williams to a man called Lucas in a sort of honey trap operation that had gone wrong. This was then followed by a visit by Lucas with a spiked drink and by the diphenhydramine injection. And it's disturbing that the reach of the Russian Secret Service can be so long, but it's also disturbing to hear Karpichkov explain how unsafe he feels in this country. Why? Because he'd been spying in Latvia. The Latvians were concerned about a case which was open. There was an extradition request, and in that process, the police and the Home Office surrendered Karpichkov's real name, new name, his alias, and his identity. He's in social housing with his wife, and for some bizarre reason, the systems here will not move him. His life is in danger. He says that he feels like a dead man walking, that anybody who had any sense would not try to claim asylum, would not try to claim refuge in the UK, because the UK is not equipped to look after people any longer. The UK is no longer a safe country. The UK is staffed with twits who are more interested in their posturing than they are in their responsibility. This is something I've been saying for a long time. This is one of the reasons why I am so firm about the inadequacy of Suella Braverman, so firm about the stupidity of Theresa May, so firm about the idiocy of Liz Truss, and about Jenrick's pomposity and bellicosity. It's all part of the mix where the rhetoric is more important than the reality, where our responsibilities are shelved in favour of this nonsense. This nonsense, and the nonsense isn't real either. That's the problem. If the nonsense were based on what people really believed, then maybe you could sort of shrug and take it. But you can't, because the nonsense is enveloped in politicians standing up and reciting slogans and no more. Slogans, slogans, slogans. I've spoken to a number of senior politicians who have always told me how this is the expression that they're expected to use in this particular context, how this is what they're told they've got to say. And they all sort of look rather sheepish or rather sad, because they got into politics to be able to express themselves. They got into politics to be able to do some good, and yet here they are bleating like a chorus of emasculated sheep. It's really not it's really not very positive. And when we cannot protect people, when we are more interested in the slogans about small boats than we are in our responsibilities, then frankly, something has gone wrong and we need to take stock and we need to ask, what can we do in the future? Because if we are not a country that can be trusted by our friends, what is the point of going it alone? What is the point of Brexit? Because we're even more exposed now than we ever were.